In a small town in the heart of America, a group of teenagers heard the legend of the Dogman and decided to investigate. They were skeptical at first, thinking that the tale was just a myth created by the locals to scare people. But as they ventured deeper into the woods, they began to feel a sense of unease. They heard strange noises and saw glimpses of movement in the shadows. Suddenly, a figure appeared before them, towering over them with its massive frame. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, and its snarls echoed through the forest. The teenagers froze, too terrified to move. They had heard stories of the Dogman's ferocity, and they feared that they were about to become its next victims. But then, something unexpected happened. The figure began to howl, a long, mournful sound that seemed to come from deep within its soul. The teenagers could feel its pain and loneliness, and they realized that the creature was not just a mindless killer, but a living being with feelings and emotions. Slowly, the teenagers approached the figure, holding out their hands in a gesture of friendship. To their amazement, the creature allowed them to approach, and they began to stroke its fur and speak to it in gentle tones. Over time, the teenagers and the Dogman formed a bond, and the creature began to trust them. They would visit the woods regularly, bringing food and treats for the Dogman, and listening to its howls as it shared its stories with them. The locals could hardly believe what they saw. The legend of the Dogman had been turned on its head, and the creature they had always feared had become a beloved friend to these teenagers. In the end, the teenagers left the town, but the memory of the Dogman stayed with them forever. And the legend of the terrifying creature in the woods was forever changed, from a tale of horror to one of unexpected friendship and love. Despite forming a bond with the Dogman, the teenagers were met with disbelief and ridicule when they returned to their town and shared their story. The locals thought they were making it up and dismissed their claims, even when they showed them pictures and videos they had taken of the creature. Feeling frustrated and misunderstood, the teenagers decided to return to the woods to spend time with the Dogman. They kept it a secret from their families and friends, only venturing out in small groups to avoid detection. As time passed, the teenagers became more and more absorbed in their friendship with the Dogman. They spent hours talking to it, playing with it, and exploring the woods together. But their families and friends began to notice that they were disappearing for longer and longer periods of time, and some even suspected that they were involved in illegal activities. One day, the teenagers simply vanished. Their families and friends searched for them, but they were nowhere to be found. The police investigated, but they found no evidence of foul play or any leads on their whereabouts. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. As the years passed, the legend of the Dogman continued to haunt the town, but nobody ever knew what had happened to the missing teenagers. Some suspected that they had been taken by the Dogman, while others believed they had run away from home. But those who had spent time with the Dogman knew the truth. They had simply chosen to stay in the woods with their friend, the Dogman. They had found a place where they belonged and were accepted, and they had no desire to return to the judgmental and skeptical world they had left behind. And so, the legend of the Dogman lived on, as did the memory of the teenagers who had disappeared into the woods. But only a select few knew the truth of what had happened to them, and they never spoke of it to anyone.